Her phone wasn't heavy, just honest. It sat there like it didn't care what it knew. The cracked screen caught a sliver of sunlight through the window, resting right next to my mouse pad where she'd left it after asking, "Mind if I charge it here?" I didn't think much of it at first. I should have. It was Friday afternoon, 5:15, and I was the last one in the office. That kind of quiet, the kind where the AC hum becomes your whole world, makes you weirdly aware of every sound. Her phone buzzed once, then again. The screen flashed. Tyler Trainer. I glanced, then looked away. Then I didn't. Her name's Alyssa, my girlfriend of 3 years. We met in a sandwich line at a food truck festival. She made some joke about the jalapeno aioli. I fumbled something back. And the next thing I knew, we were walking the lake loop at Centennial Park every Sunday like it had always been that way. She's sharp, driven, makes a color-coded grocery list, and remembers my coworkers' birthdays, even when I don't. And yeah, lately things had felt different. She started training for a half marathon back in April, got herself a personal trainer at that fancy wellness place in Midtown. I supported it, even paid for a few of the sessions up front when she was between freelance gigs. Told her I was proud of her. But then came the late-night protein shakes, the locked screen, the "it's just FaceTime" form checks, and "we're talking macros." I'm not proud of what I did next, but I know exactly what led to it. We work in the same building, 2 floors apart. I'm on the software team at a mid-size firm. She's been doing marketing freelance out of one of the shared co-working spaces. Fridays, we'd usually grab a beer at the brewery across the street before heading home. She'd swing by my desk, drop off her stuff, freshen up in the bathroom. That Friday, she was in a hurry. Said she needed to call her mom before the drive home. Left her phone charging. Be right back. 15 minutes passed. 20. A text buzzed again. Another one. The screen stayed lit just long enough for me to see. Tyler Trainer. Still thinking about earlier. That mirror view. Damn. Can't wait for our stretch session Sunday. Now look, I'm not a jealous guy. I've been cheated on once before, in college, and I swore I'd never be that guy again. The one who assumes. The one who spirals. But this wasn't spiraling. This was factual. The next message hit while I was still staring. "You bring that Lil Black set again?" I blinked. My chest tightened. And that was when I picked up the phone. It wasn't locked, at least not in the traditional sense. She'd disabled Face ID and hadn't reset the passcode yet. 4 zeros, like she didn't think anyone would bother. Messages were already open. A long scroll of flirty emojis, gym selfies, sweaty locker room. Mirrors time-stamped around the time she told me she was at Whole Foods or running late from the agency. One from last Tuesday. Alyssa, "You better not leave marks this time." Tyler, "No promises, Angel." That was the night she'd come home quiet. Said her hamstrings were sore. I'd made her soup. I didn't take screenshots. I didn't forward anything. I just sat there, the buzz of the office lights crawling over my skin, staring at the thread until it blurred. Then I heard her heels, clicking down the hall, fast. She popped into the doorway, smiling, hair pulled back, holding an iced tea. "Sorry that took so long. Mom's going through it." Then she saw her phone in my hand, and everything on her face changed. We didn't talk right away, not in words. I held the phone out. She took it. Slow. The screen went dark between us. "Why?" I asked. My voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that scared even me. She didn't answer, just stared at the ground. Then she sat down in the chair across from me, like it was all too heavy. "He's just," she started. "It wasn't supposed to be anything." I waited. "I just got okay. He makes me feel," her voice cracked, "like I'm still wanted." I could have laughed. Instead, I stared at the glass of water next to my keyboard, condensation trailing down like the moment was dripping. "You don't feel wanted?" I asked, low. "No, I don't know. It's not that. It's just different. There's a point where heartbreak shifts from sharp to slow, where you stop picturing the betrayal and start questioning the entire foundation." She reached across the desk. "I didn't sleep with him." "That's a technicality," I said. She flinched, then, "We just flirted. It was stupid. It felt like a game. He listens." That word. As if I hadn't spent 3 years listening to her vent about deadlines, allergies, her sister's wedding drama, the best way to roast carrots. I'd listened. I'd built my whole rhythm around her. And now I was the background hum. She asked if we could go home and talk. I said no. I needed air. She left, took the stairs. I sat there for another 40 minutes, watched the sun set through the blinds, and thought about every protein shake I'd helped prep, every compliment I gave, every time I said, "I'm proud of you," and meant it. And then I opened a blank doc, started writing down the text I remembered, because I didn't know where this was headed, but I knew I needed to remember. Every word. It was 6:38 the next morning when I realized I couldn't unsee any of it. The texts, the way her face fell, the quiet in the car after I told her I'd need some time. I sat at the kitchen table, half a cup of coffee gone cold in my hand, staring at the chair she usually pulled her knees up in. She hadn't come home, and I hadn't asked her to. I didn't. Sleep. I kept checking my phone out of habit, not because I wanted to talk to her, but because I expected her to text. Some long, apologetic message, some dramatic, "I'll explain everything" monologue. Something that would make me angrier just by existing, but nothing came, not a single ping. The silence became its own kind of answer. By 8, I'd showered, dressed, and stood in front of the mirror like I was practicing for a confrontation that already passed. I kept picturing the way her voice cracked when she said, "He listens." That part stuck. More than the rest, it wasn't just about the cheating, or the flirting, or whatever blurry line she thought she could toe without technically crossing it. It was about the replacement. I was already fading in her mind, and she was trying on someone else for size. At work, I didn't tell anyone. No one knew we were dating anyway, not officially. We kept it low at the office. Different departments, different circles. But the co-working space she used was right above the design team. I caught myself scanning the mezzanine stairwell every time I passed the snack bar. She didn't show. By noon, I texted her one thing. "Did you stay at his place?" It delivered. It stayed unread. Around 3, my buddy Evan from Dev tapped on my cubicle wall. "You good?" he asked, nodding at the untouched salad on my desk. I lied. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well." He nodded like he got it, then added, "You know that trainer dude? Tyler, he's been in the building lately." I looked up. "Why would he be here?" Evan shrugged. "Saw him in the shared lobby Wednesday. Pretty boy, tight shirt, headphones around his neck like he's in a Nike ad." I didn't respond. Just felt something drop in my stomach. She'd told me she had a remote branding consult that day. Said she was doing a client pitch on Zoom. Guess not. Back at home, her keys were still gone from the hook. Her toothbrush, though? Still in the cup. Her coat still on the hook. Like she'd left in a hurry, but hadn't made a real choice yet. I stared at her charger cord, tangled, pink, bitten at the end, still plugged into the kitchen outlet. That stupid cord had seen more of our kitchen than I had lately. At 7:15 that night, she finally texted back. "I stayed at Heather's. I needed space too." No apology, no explanation, just neutral, careful phrasing. I replied, "What's happening between us?" 2 minutes, 5, 10. No answer. I tossed my phone on the couch and grabbed my keys. I needed to see it for myself. Heather lived in an apartment near North Avenue. I'd been there once, months ago, to help Alyssa carry up a borrowed air fryer. It was raining just enough to smear the windshield, and the streetlights turned the droplets amber. When I pulled up to Heather's building, I didn't see Alyssa's car, but I waited anyway. 20 minutes, just watching the lobby. Then a couple walked out under one umbrella. Tyler and Alyssa. He didn't see me. She did. Her smile dropped the second her eyes met mine. She said something to him and stepped away, walking toward my car like she was about to talk her way out of the fire. I rolled the window down, just an inch. "You lied," I said. "I didn't stay there," she admitted. "Not all night. I just needed somewhere to think first." "You lied again," I said. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away like the rain was suddenly more interesting than everything falling apart. "You said it was just flirting," I added. "You said it wasn't anything." "It wasn't, not until recently." That hurt more than I thought it would. I'd assumed it had been going on, that it was worse than she admitted, but hearing her confirm it, casually, like it was weather, I almost laughed. Then she said, "He listens to me." Again. And that's when something shifted. Because this wasn't about a trainer anymore, or a fling, or even some emotional connection she needed that I couldn't give. It was about ego. Hers, his, mine. All of it tangled in this need to feel seen, wanted, mirrored back. "I've been listening to you for years, Sam," I said. "You just stopped noticing." She blinked, then whispered, "I think we both stopped." That night, she didn't come home. I didn't expect her to. I poured myself a drink, just one, and opened that blank doc again. Started listing questions instead of texts. When did she start pulling away? What was the moment she stopped laughing at my jokes? Why did I ignore the signs, even when they were obvious? Was I really as present as I thought I was? I didn't have answers, but I had a lot of space. Sunday came, the day of their stretch session. She didn't text, didn't call, didn't ask to talk. So I drove to the gym, waited in the parking lot like some washed-up private eye, and I watched them come out together, her hair up, his hand briefly on her lower back, like they'd been doing this for months. Maybe they had. Maybe it didn't matter anymore. But I knew one thing now. I wasn't going to wait for her to decide which version of her life she wanted. Because I deserved to be chosen, not tolerated. And whatever came next, it would be mine to shape. Halfway through folding her laundry, stuff she hadn't picked up yet, left in the hamper by the bathroom, I stopped. A black sports bra with the same mesh trim I'd seen in one of the locker room selfies she'd sent him. I dropped it, not out of rage, just because suddenly the air in the apartment felt used, like everything in it was shared with someone else now. She hadn't asked to come back, not in 2 weeks. There were no texts beyond the occasional, "Can we talk soon?" or "Let me know when you're ready." I wasn't ready, and I didn't know if I would be. I'd started sleeping on the right side of the bed again, the side I used to avoid because she liked the window. The room felt colder, but also more honest. Empty, but mine. The strangest part of all of it was realizing how much of my life had been on autopilot. The protein shakes in the fridge, the yoga mat by the door, the gym towel I never used but always washed because she needed it. I started noticing things I'd absorbed over the years without knowing. Like how I still caught myself muting commercials because she hated voiceovers shouting about car deals. Or how my Spotify algorithm kept feeding me her Focus playlist. Every part of me had adapted to her. And now that she was gone, it was like detoxing. Evan noticed it first. "You're not eating with us anymore," he said, pointing at the microwaved soup I brought from home. "I'm just trying to save," I lied. He raised an eyebrow. "Is this about that girl? The one who left the phone?" I blinked. "Yeah," he said. "People talk." I didn't respond, because I knew what was coming. I saw her and that trainer guy downtown last weekend, Evan continued. They weren't exactly being subtle. What were they doing? I asked, more curious than hurt. He shrugged. Brunch, holding hands. She looked different. Different how? Just lighter. That part stuck with me. Lighter. I'd spent months walking on eggshells, wondering if she was pulling away or if I was imagining it. Now, apparently, she was glowing over omelets and bottomless mimosas. I started journaling more. Not like some new age healing method, just recording things, texts, thoughts, moments. I titled one entry, The Quiet Inventory. I wrote, March 22nd, said she had a late client call, but came home smelling like men's cologne. April 4, turned off red receipts. April 9, stopped saying love you before bed. April 15, forgot our anniversary dinner reservation. The red flags were there. I just didn't want to name them at the time. She called once around 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. I let it ring. Then she texted, I think we owe each other closure. Can we meet? I stared at it for a long time, then typed, what exactly do you want from me? A minute later, not to fix it, just to understand it. I said nothing. But the next day, I found myself walking into that overpriced wellness center in Midtown. It smelled like eucalyptus and protein powder. The front desk girl smiled too wide. Are you here for a session? No, I said, just looking. I spotted him before she did. Tyler. Tank top, smug energy, doing that slow walk between machines like he was God's gift to foam rollers. He didn't see me, but Alyssa did. She came around the corner, hair up, leggings, and a sweatshirt that looked suspiciously like mine. We made eye contact. Then she walked over. I didn't expect you here, she said, keeping her voice low. Clearly, I replied. She sighed. Can we talk somewhere else? I looked around. You picked this place. You wanted honesty. She paused. Do you want honesty? I'm here, aren't I? We ended up walking around the block. Midtown was loud, filled with delivery vans and dog walkers and people who didn't care that my relationship had imploded. She said, I didn't plan for any of this. You planned enough to lie, I said. Her face tightened. Look, she began, I wasn't happy. I didn't know how to say that without making it your fault. So you made it mine anyway, I replied. I didn't mean to replace you. But you did. Silence. Then, he made me feel exciting again. I looked at her. Really looked. You know what's wild? I asked. I used to feel lucky just to be with you. Every day. Even when things were hard. She didn't say anything. I kept going. And you were bored, so you found someone to make you feel shiny again. She swallowed. Are you going to stay with him? I asked. I don't know, she whispered. Maybe. That was all I needed. Not rage, not revenge, just clarity. She wasn't confused. She was just someone who wanted a different mirror, and I'd been standing there, holding one up for years, hoping she'd like what she saw. That night, I boxed her things, left the box in the hallway with a note. I loved you. You outgrew it. That's okay, but we're done. And I locked the door behind me. The doorknob was cold when I came back from work that night. I paused before turning it, half expecting the lock to catch, like maybe she'd come back and change something. But it opened the same way it always had, quietly, like the apartment was holding its breath. Her box was still in the hall, untouched. It had been 4 days since I last saw Alyssa. 4 days since I'd handed her a truth she wasn't ready for, that I wasn't going to fight for something she already gave away. I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strange part. I just felt cleared out, like a storm had passed through and taken everything down to drywall. I spent that weekend rebuilding my space. Not the furniture, the atmosphere. Her scent still clung to the pillowcases, some mix of coconut conditioner and rosewater toner. I washed them twice. Her favorite mug was in the dishwasher. I boxed it with the rest of her things and taped the lid shut this time. The Spotify algorithm still threw her playlists at me, but I started making my own. Acoustic stuff, slow, reflective. Songs where the lyrics didn't try to fix anything. Evan invited me out Saturday night. Some rooftop bar, mutual friends, something about trivia and burgers. I almost said no, but I went. And it was okay. Not amazing, not transformative. But it reminded me that life still happened outside my apartment. That not everyone was secretly living a double life between push-ups and protein bars. Sunday morning, I got a text from her. The box is still outside. I stared at it, typed back, "You left it, not me." She didn't reply. Monday, the box was gone. No knock, no note, just gone. I took a deep breath in the hallway, let it out, and walked back inside like something final had clicked into place. At work, things started feeling normal again. I was coding more, laughing more, not checking the mezzanine stairs every time I passed the break room. One afternoon, Evan stopped by with a smirk. "Guess who's not coming around the co-working space anymore?" I didn't ask. He answered anyway. "Pretty boy, tank top, Coach Tyler." I raised an eyebrow. "He get fired?" "Nah, word is he's taking a break, which usually means someone filed a complaint." I didn't celebrate, but I did not enjoy hearing it either. Later that week, Alyssa sent one last message. "I know you won't respond, but I wanted to say I'm sorry, not just for him, for losing the version of us that used to feel easy." I didn't reply, not because I wanted to punish her, but because I had nothing left to offer that wouldn't reopen wounds we both needed to let scar over. A month passed, then two. I started running in the mornings, started reading again, went on a few dates, not serious, just coffee and conversation, but enough to remind me that there were people out there who didn't carry ghosts in their gym bags. And then one day, I saw her. Not in some dramatic run-in. She was across the street from a dog park, talking to someone I didn't recognize. She looked older. Not aged, just less performative. Her hair was tied up messier than usual. She laughed with her whole face, not just her Instagram smile. For a second, she caught my eye, and we both paused. No wave, no smile, no signal. Just mutual recognition of a story that had run its course. Back home that night, I opened the journal again, wrote one last line under the quiet inventory. Closure doesn't come when you need it. It comes when you stop chasing it. I closed the book, put it on the shelf, and left it there. I used to think forgiveness was about letting someone back in. It's not. It's about walking away without dragging the wreckage behind you. It took me months to figure that out. By the time winter rolled around, the city had changed moods. The trees on my street were stripped bare, their branches sketching black lines against the gray sky. I was different too, quieter, steadier, less wired to react to every vibration on my phone. Some scars fade slow, but they do fade. It's strange what you start to miss when someone's gone. Not the big gestures, the anniversaries, the vacations, the I love yous. It's the smaller background noise, her humming in the bathroom, her half laugh when I said something stupid, the way she'd balance her coffee on the sink while doing mascara. Those things haunted me for a while. Then, slowly, they didn't. One night in December, I was closing up my laptop when an unknown number called. I almost ignored it. Then curiosity won. "Hello?" Silence for a second. Then, "Hey," her voice. "Alyssa?" "Yeah." She sounded tired. Not broken, just worn. Didn't expect to hear from you, I said. I know, I just wanted to ask how you've been. Why? She exhaled. Because I still care, even if I messed up. That was the thing about her. She always wanted to rewrite the ending, even when the story had already closed. I told her I was doing better, which was true. She told me she wasn't with him anymore, which I already suspected. Apparently, he'd been training half his clients the same way. Same lines, same stretch sessions, same gym floor flirting that made women feel special until they realized they weren't the only ones. I guess I got what I deserved, she said quietly. I didn't correct her. I just listened. For once, it wasn't to fix things. It was to hear her finish the part I'd been forced to live through alone. She said, I keep thinking about that day at your desk, about how fast everything fell apart. I think about it too, I admitted, but not in the way you think. What do you mean? I think about how it had to happen. How else would I have noticed how much I'd stopped noticing myself? She didn't say anything for a while. Then, softly, you were always the steady one. Yeah, I said, and you wanted the spark. After we hung up, I sat there staring at the dark window. My reflection looked older. Not damaged, just human. That's the part no one talks about when you get cheated on. It's not just losing someone. It's losing the version of yourself that existed with them. The one that believed love was simple, linear, permanent, but it isn't. It's work. It's awareness. It's paying attention before the silence gets comfortable. Months later, I met someone new. It happened naturally, through a volunteer group at the animal shelter. Her name's Marin. She laughs with her whole body and listens like she's not waiting to speak next. She doesn't remind me of Alyssa, and that's the point. The first time she left her phone on the table, screen lit up with messages, I noticed. Then I smiled, because I didn't feel the need to look. That was how I knew I'd healed. Sometimes I still think about Alyssa, not with anger, not even nostalgia, just acknowledgement. She was a chapter, a loud, painful, necessary chapter, the one that forced me to rebuild from scratch, to figure out what my boundaries actually meant, to realize I could survive being deceived and still want love again. And that matters more than the heartbreak ever did. If I could tell her one thing now, it would be this. Leaving your phone on my desk didn't ruin everything. It revealed what was already broken. And that truth, hard as it was, set both of us free. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.